Hey guys, I thought I'd comment on this article I seen from Screen Rant about Dave Bautista's new action film, The Killer's Game, which hit a box office low all-time record for him,
This is no good.
which I found surprising. I was actually at the premiere. I thought the movie was entertaining. I'll give more commentary on probably what the biggest issue was, though. Dave Bautista, I felt, is a great actor. He's got a lot of, emotion and character in his face, and he played that role great. But let's see what this article says, and then I'll provide some commentary in general about the film. But it was surprising. I can't believe it flopped so hard. The Killer's Game has broken a record for star Dave Bautista by hitting a box office low during its opening weekend. The new action comedy movie, which also stars Sophia Boutella, Palm Clensontyfe, Terry Crews, Scott Adkins, and Ben Kingsley, follows a hitman, Bautista, who orders a hit on himself after receiving a terminal diagnosis, only to learn that he was misdiagnosed. And of course, as soon as he got that misdiagnosis, it was too late because the contract was out and everybody was after him. And then obviously he's fighting to survive. So the story in general is not the most original because we see so many of these hitman films where you have this great, amazing, badass hitman, and then all these other hitmen are after him. We see it in John Wick. We've seen it with Scott Adkins in the Accident Man movies, and now we see it again in The Killer's Game. So I think that formula is just getting a little bit tired.
Really? So plain.
It's the same old story. It's kind of like in the 80s and 90s how they had all these underground martial arts tournaments films. You had Bloodsport, you had Blood Match, you had Blood Fight, Don Wilson had Blood Fist. It's just too many. So John Wick of all these is like the Bloodsport, and this is like the equivalent of Blood Match. So it was entertaining, but it's something that we've seen too much. That's probably one reason why it didn't really draw much of an audience in. So the article also says, The Killer's Game release opened the same weekend as the Blumhouse horror remake Speak No Evil and the documentary Am I Racist, which I think they banned in some California theaters, by the way.
Oh, big surprise.
Per deadline, as of Sunday morning, The Killer's Game is projected to earn a 3-day opening weekend total of $2.6 million at the domestic box office from 2,623 theaters. This is set to place it at number 6 on the domestic chart below Am I Racist at number 4 and Speak No Evil at number 2, both of which fell below the holdover hit Beetlejuice, which is in its sophomore weekend. The action comedy has earned the lowest debut ever for a Dave Bautista movie, beating his previous low of $3.2 million for 2018's Hotel Artemis. What this box office record means for The Killer's Game, Dave Bautista thrives more as part of an ensemble, it says. This debut for The Killer's Game may not bode well for Dave Bautista, who has held roles in many hit movies, but typically is part of an ensemble in those projects, including the Dune and Guardians of the Galaxy movies. While Hotel Artemis was also an ensemble effort, his ensemble movies tend to perform best, including the 2022 Whodunit Glass Onion, which only played in 696 theaters during its pre-Netflix limited release, but nevertheless opened with 9.4 million. I thought that was actually pretty good. I've seen that on Netflix. Below, see how the new movie ranks among the lowest debuts earned by Bautista movies that played in more than 100 theaters. Yeah, all of his other movies actually did pretty well. I mean, this one, obviously, he was the lead. Of Bautista's 10 lowest grossing opening weekends, all 3 movies in which he can be considered to hold a lead role are among their number. While this excludes 2020's My Spy, which moved to a streaming release on Prime Video amid theater closures during the COVID-19 pandemic, but was successful enough to earn a sequel. His highest grossing movies all see him playing major supporting roles rather than lead characters. This does not necessarily mean that he is not a financially viable star, but he may take a hit if the movie's performance does not improve as its theatrical run continues. Hopefully it'll actually do much better overseas. I thought his love interest in the film, which you can see in this pic, was actually really good as well. I think she used to be a professional ballet dancer. And like I mentioned before, I think Bautista does have that it factor. He has that star quality. I'm not sure why he's not necessarily connected with a mainstream audience. Maybe it's just because that film directed by J.J. Perry, which I think is his 3rd film that he directed. He's got one in post-production right now. And he's been around forever doing stunts, second unit directing on all these big movies like John Wick, Fate of the Fast and Furious, The Rundown. He's been at it for a while, but as far as like sole directing effort, this is one of 3. He's got another one coming out with Dave Bautista, and then he also did Day Shift. That one, of course, had Jamie Foxx, and Scott Adkins was in that as well, which he also used for the Killers game. So the article continues, it does not seem especially likely to become a sleeper hit because it faces strong competition with Beetlejuice, and the upcoming Transformers 1, which may crowd out theaters, but it remains to be seen how it performs by the end of its run. Although its initial box office performance is low, it appears the movie is getting positive audience reception, scoring 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, popcorn meter, and a 6 out of 10 on IMDb as of this writing. While these scores aren't as high as some of Bautista's best movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, which got 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, they indicate general enjoyment from moviegoers. While it's unlikely to beat forthcoming franchise movies in future weekends, word of mouth could give the Killers game a boost in popularity, potentially keeping it from floundering as its theatrical run continues. It's going to have to make all its money on streaming and then physical copies, I think. Usually that first weekend is an indication, and movies don't usually make more in subsequent weekends after that first weekend.
This is no good.
So, it says, with the final box office performance of the movie still up in the air, it's unclear if the Killers game can launch Bautista's next franchise. Following his exit from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and his last appearance in Dune Part 2, while the Killers game has no post-credits scene, potential for a continuation still exists, something that could spawn a franchise depending on its performance. However, if the movie isn't able to garner as much attention in theaters as other small releases this month, it will seemingly remain a one-off for the prolific actor, which I'm pretty sure that's what's going to end up happening. Now, the production values and the fight choreography were pretty good. It was really entertaining, really violent, pretty bloody, hard R for the violence. I thought Terry Crews did a good job. The guy who was trying to partner up with Terry Crews, added some comic relief. Actually, the whole scene at the end in this church with the priest was actually pretty funny. I don't want to give too much away, but there was some good back and forth. So for like an action comedy, I thought it worked, and I enjoyed the premiere. I'm just actually surprised it just didn't find an audience whatsoever, but I think it will. I think it will on streaming, and I would say video, but who buys videos these days, right? So I think it will ultimately find an audience on streaming. But doing a film like that, which is about a $30 million budget, nothing too crazy. I don't know if they'll keep making films like that, unfortunately, because it's really hard to make money back on that kind of budget. So they have those really low budget movies that could easily turn a profit, or you have, they go all in on, especially those bigger Marvel movies with the hundreds of millions of dollars or anything like that. But hopefully they'll keep making that kind of like in between budget film like this. The only problem is these movies aren't performing. Like the Crow remake didn't perform for Lionsgate. Borderlands had a higher budget that underperformed. But hopefully they'll have another hit soon. And Dave Bautista as an actor, he definitely has that quality where hopefully he'll get in something that, could really boost him up. He needs kind of like a franchise like Vin Diesel, who's doing another Riddick movie, by the way, and of course, there's so many Fast and Furious movies. So the right franchise, which this could have been, I guess, but the right franchise for Bautista, then he'll be one of those like top of the top. I feel that's coming. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys thought about the Killers game if you've seen it.